Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Go to Market Ready, how to activate momentum from product market fit. My name is Michelle Eisenberg, and I am a program assistant here at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. So as you will see in the chat in a moment, the NASDAQ Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So definitely make sure to check out those links and resources in the chat. And then just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First, let us know where you are dialing in from in the chat. We always love to connect. And second, we are going to open up for live Q&A at the end of the event. So please make sure to submit your questions for us in that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation, and we will try our best to get to all of them. And of course, none of what we do could be possible at the center without all of the amazing support from our sponsors, including NASDAQ, Lehigh University, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Wells Fargo, the Narit Foundation, Walmart.org, JP Morgan Chase, BPM, HubSpot for Startups, and Google Cloud. We are humbled by their contributions and hope you are grateful too. And so before we get started, we always like to launch a couple polls to step back and see how everyone here is doing today. This first one is going to ask, how are you feeling about your business? How are you feeling? Fearful, anxious, surviving, or optimistic? I'll give it just a few moments to give folks a second to respond here. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to end this poll and share these results. All right, looks like optimism in the lead, but definitely some feelings of anxiety and surviving. So hopefully this shows you that whatever you are feeling, you are not alone. And I'm very confident that our presentation and conversation today may help alleviate some of those feelings as well. So I'm going to stop sharing this poll and launch that second one. What is keeping you up at night? Finance, sales, marketing, scale, pivot, team, or surviving. And this one just tells us a little bit more about your current needs as an entrepreneur, so we can ensure the programs and resources we develop continue to be meaningful for all of you. So I'll give that just a few moments. Awesome. We got folks from DMV, DC metro area, wonderful. Waynesboro, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Welcome, welcome. Dutchess County, New York, Miami, Florida. Welcome from all over the place. So great to have everyone here. All right, I'll give it one more moment on the poll. All right, and I am going to end this poll and share these results. All right. All right, looks like surviving's coming up in the lead. You know what? That's okay. We are in this together, and we definitely have some finance, sales, marketing, and scale in there as well. So thank you all. This is super helpful. I'm going to stop sharing this poll. And without any further delay, please join me in giving the warmest welcome to our special guest, Emily Mueller, CEO and founder at Wellery and partner at Bolden. Emily, such a pleasure to have you here with us today. Super excited for this one, and I am going to pass it right over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, Anna. So nice to meet so many of you and see so many entrepreneurs building so many different types of companies. I myself have been exactly where you have sat or sitting, and hopefully today's presentation and discussion will help you feel better about your building blocks and roadmap ahead. So let me go ahead and share my screen quickly. Go into full screen mode. Perfect. So let me start by introducing myself and telling you a little bit about my story. I started my first company, Wellery, in 2019. Our mission was to make nutrition care accessible for all. We built a telehealth platform that matched dietitians with patients covered by health insurance. Our goal was really to bring nutrition to the forefront of a healthcare journey for a patient. Throughout the 5.5 years that we built and scaled our organization, we grew to be the largest network of dietitians in the country. We had scaled through multiple different iterations of product market fit and marketing strategies. We began with a direct-to-consumer strategy. Then we evolved to selling B2B directly to large enterprises. And then we eventually went in network with health systems and health insurance. And as of last year, at the end of 2023, we were acquired by Season Health, a food as medicine healthcare partner. You name it, I've probably seen it or experienced it firsthand, and I'm very excited to share some of my learnings with you today. Since exiting Wellery, I have founded and am now a partner at a firm called Bolden Advisors. We're a business building firm, a startup studio. So we're a group of exited founders, exited entrepreneurs who have taken our experience and our learned experiences to help founders just like all of you take your businesses to the next level. We help you fundraise or build the right decks and presentations to fundraise. We help you productize, commercialize, and exit your business. We know what it takes to go from 0 to 100 from start to finish. And our goal is to share our experience with you to help you do that bigger, better, and faster. Our goal is really to empower businesses to thrive pre and post product market fit and help give you the resources you need to be successful. So today let's talk about, let's talk about what that means to find product market fit. By a show of hands, or rather if you could drop in the chat an emoji, you could just say yes. How many of you have ever asked yourself this question or asked someone else, how do I know if I found product market fit? I'll just give it a minute to see if we get some answers. I know this is a question that all of my clients ask us constantly, and one that I was constantly asking ourselves as well. Yep. Great to see some answers. Yep. Perfect. Product market fit is hard to find, it's hard to define, and it's hard to ensure that you've built the proper building blocks in order to put a product into market that can scale efficiently and effectively. So let's talk about what those building blocks are that are necessary in order for you to find and establish product market fit so that you can scale and effectively make as much money as possible to grow a thriving business. We're going to take you through these 6 foundational building blocks, and then we'll open it up at the end for Q&A to make sure you have what you need to get a good understanding of how to activate product market fit, building the building blocks, and then how to scale in market. So the first thing you need to do is define a clear problem statement. That might sound easy, but so many early stage entrepreneurs try to be everything for everyone. And what ends up happening is it actually is really hard to understand what's the problem statement that you're solving and why. So the first thing I encourage you to ask yourself is there a clear problem statement that my business is solving? And start with one clear problem statement. The next is, can you find 10 potential customers that have that one problem statement? And conduct interviews with each one of those customers to establish that there's a clear need or a clear problem statement that you've identified that they're experiencing. Then understand, are there other companies in your shared market that are solving that problem? How do you fit in, or where do you fit in? What are your differences or similarities? And then lastly, are you building a need to have product or a want to have product? Many of you might have heard an analogy of a vitamin or a pill. Are you building a vitamin solution, a supplement, or a medication, a pill, something that's helping with a pain point? So there's a lot of work that needs to be done upfront as you start to establish product market fit, to start in a niche category, to define that one column that you're going to fit in, which is, what is that one problem that we're solving and how painful is that problem? maybe you start with an overall category of problem statements and then start to refine what's the most painful problem that my potential customers are experiencing, and how can I put myself in market to solve that for them. Now, once you've done that and done some thoughtful work around that, how do we create a valuable solution to deliver to those customers? And this all comes down to the right positioning, the unique selling points around you, your company, your product, and that problem statement that you're solving for. Here's a question to ask, can you clearly articulate the problem statement you're solving for and how you are solving it best, and why you, or why your team, or why your company? So many early stage founders, entrepreneurs, businesses struggle with these first 2 points, which is how do we very, very simply define and articulate the problem statement and the solution. I'll give you an example. I'm working with a client of ours who is building a business in the health and wellness space, and their mission is to make everyone healthy. And they're starting with a very grandiose mission statement and value prop. Well, in order to find product market fit at scale, we have to start somewhere. We have to start here and say, well, what is the first product, or what is the first problem rather, that you can solve for that customer? And what is the first product that can solve that problem? And how do we clearly articulate that? Because if we try to be everything to everyone, you'll be nothing to no one. So being able to identify the problem statement and then clearly articulate your selling points and positioning in the market that makes your solution better than anyone else's. And that really comes down to understanding value propositions. What is the value that you are driving to your customers? You have your solution, but what is the benefit of your solution? What is the outcome, the ROI, that you can drive to your customers that will make them want to buy? A sales 101 philosophy said, people buy with emotion backed by logic. What is the emotion that you can evoke in your unique selling propositions and your positioning that will inspire, that will empower, that will attract customers? And then sell them a solution that's logical, that costs a certain amount of money that they can afford. But the emotion that you're driving is that you will solve their problems, and you will solve their most painful problems, so they feel like you are someone they have to work with. And so now you've established your clear problem statements, the solution of which you're selling to them. You're articulating it in a way that will evoke the right emotion delivered by a logical solution. And is it now priced at a price point that you're delivering healthy unit economics? So in order to define or decide if you found product market fit, we have to make sure you're building a business model that is healthy at scale, so that you're not only driving top line revenue, but you're also driving profit. So here's a very fast example, very simple. If we have a $100 product that we're selling, $100 revenue, it costs us $40 to make that product. It costs us $15 on average to acquire a customer. We now have $45 in profit to reinvest into the business and grow. It's so important to do this exercise early and often to make sure that you are launching a product that is driving profitability for you, both in the short term and in the long term. Now, that scale impact can evolve over time with different products, different upsell opportunities, and different feature sets. But always thinking about profitability as a core part of product market fit is crucial to making sure you can scale to hundreds of thousands, to millions, to tens of millions, and beyond. Excuse me. So you have a clear problem statement, a painful product statement. You're clearly defining how you're going to solve that problem. You're doing that in a way that is evoking emotion backed by a logical solution. And now you've built a pricing system that allows your business to make money when customers buy your solution. So now the question I ask is, are you going after the right customers? Are you talking to the right people who have that problem statement and are the right fit for your solution? Can't tell you how many times I speak to entrepreneurs and founders who think that their customer is one person, but they're getting so many rejections and they're feeling like they're in survival mode. And we workshop and we say, well, wait a minute. sounds like your customer is actually this type of persona. Let's try to go after that person. And the conversion rate and success rate to sell is so much higher because we've shifted who the ideal customer persona is. One way to do this to establish whether or not you have the right customer is customer feedback sessions. Talk to people, talk to everyone and anyone. One of the best pieces of advice I got very early on in building my first company was don't be afraid to share your idea. Everyone has an idea. The more feedback you can get, the better. And winners will win based on execution. So everyone can have a similar idea, but you will win based on the intentional work that you do to build towards product market fit. So gain as much customer feedback as possible. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. One recommendation I give to all early entrepreneurs as well is send an email to 100 people that you know and say, hi, I am the CEO and founder of this company. We do X, Y, and Z. If you know someone who fits A, B, and C persona type, we'd love to chat with them. Can you forward this email on to them and CC me? I'll take it from there. You have 100 potential leads. See how many of your friends and family can drum up real leads, generate real leads for you that can convert to sales. And then once you start to have those customer feedback sessions or sales conversations, do you have the right objection handling solutions, phrases, commentary set up to succeed? So have you identified what are possible reasons why your customers might say no? And do you have prepared responses to how to convert them to a yes? Every product is different, every solution is different, every business is different, but doing the work upfront to say, you know what, customer, this isn't the right solution for you based on these 3 things. But let me tell you why you think these 3 things aren't right for you, and I'll tell you why they actually are. So being able to deliver, to sell with emotion backed by logic, having your problem statement, your solution, your product, your pricing, and then the responses for an objection handling ready to go in a customer call will help you convert faster and ultimately establish whether or not you found product market fit. Now, let's say you've done all that heavy lifting, which is tremendous amount of intentional work, which is necessary in order to put the right product into the right market and start to scale. Let's talk about marketing and acquisition channels early on in order to do that. There are several different ways that you can start to scale and market your business. Here's just an example of what an integrated marketing channel could look like. Referrals, word of mouth, organic searches, paid searches, email campaigns, social media, and of course, happy accidents, webinars, introductions by friends, you name it. In order to start scaling your marketing efforts efficiently to then find product market fit at scale in the millions, the hundreds of thousands, millions, whatever your goals may be, we have to have tracking mechanisms in place to understand where your leads come from. Are they coming from friends? Are they coming from online social channels? Are they coming from YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, B2B webinars? Are you someone who's selling door-to-door services? Are you someone who's picking up the phone and calling 100 contracting businesses in order to find the right partners? So being able to look at a sales funnel, first and foremost, once you have your product ready to go to market, and maybe many of you are there already, can you appropriately and accurately track your conversion? A very common mistake many entrepreneurs make is they get a handful of rejections and it hurts so quick. And I know how much that hurts, but it hurts. And they say, nobody wants my product. I'm not scaling enough. I'm just surviving. Well, if I take a step back, I could say, okay, well, how many outbound sales initiatives have you done? I'll give an example. I spoke to a founder recently. Well, this founder had done 10 calls and had converted 3 of those calls to paying customers. That's a 30% conversion. That's actually very good for the type of industry she operates in. So if you can take a step back and look at the data and start making data-driven decisions to say, okay, of the activity I'm doing, what is the total amount that I have done? And what is my conversion from top of funnel to bottom funnel? And then compare that to industry benchmarks. you will realize how good you likely are doing compared to other products in your market. So it's really important to understand where your leads are coming from, to be able to track and measure those results in a data-driven way compared to industry benchmarks, and then continuously iterate and evolve as you learn. Maybe online marketing is a great tool for you. Maybe in-person marketing is a great tool for you. Maybe outbound sales works. Maybe outbound email works. All different ways to market your product and service. And it takes multitude of outreach in order to do so. Another sales principle suggests it takes an average of 7 touch points for a consumer to make a buying decision. So it's important to have this full circle integrated approach so that your customer is interacting with your company 7 times. Maybe they receive an email from you. Maybe they've seen an Instagram post or a LinkedIn post from you. Maybe they get a postcard in the mail from you. Maybe they get a call from a sales rep or from the founder. Maybe they join a webinar that you're speaking on. Maybe they see a billboard of your company and its advertisement. Maybe they then get a retargeting email. Now, after those 7 touch points, at that point is a customer ready to convert. So much about finding product market fit and sales is building trust with your customers so that that customer can trust that you will solve their painful problem and you will do it in the right way. And so as you think about bringing your product to market and activating the momentum necessary to scale at large, start asking yourself, how many times am I interacting with a potential customer? One email, and that's it, is not enough to convert a customer. It's certainly not enough to build trust with a customer that they will then rely on you to solve or cure their problem. So trust is a big part in building product market fit. Can your customers trust you? And if they do, they will come back time and time again to renew your services or continue to buy your products. And then lastly, are you set up to scale? Once you've done this heavy lifting at the upfront, are you ready to scale as product market fit happens, essentially? And scaling effectively comes in many different shapes and sizes. Here are just a few ways to start to check yourself or provide a checklist for yourself whether or not you're ready to scale effectively. Do you have the right mechanisms in place to track your sales, to track churn, to track renewal, to track all the important metrics necessary for you to define or establish whether or not you are having success product market fit? Do you have KPIs or goals in place that you can reach, or better yet, overreach, that you can hit and surpass, that are realistic, perhaps a bit aggressive, but achievable? And can you identify and track what those key performance indicators are that will cause business success for you? In many cases, these are sales goals, revenue goals, profitability goals. These are, if my sales conversion is 30% out of 100, let's just say, can I do 100 sales calls a month in order to convert 30%, 30 people, or 10 sales calls in order to convert 3 customers? And if you can do that efficiently, now you can actually start to forecast what your future can look like. Well, instead of 10 customer calls to get 3 clients, paying customers, what if I did 20 customer calls? Now I have 6 clients. And you can start to forecast how the business grows over time and where to invest or reinvest in resources. As you start to look at how to do that at scale, are you efficiently building with the right tools and resources to optimize your time and productivity? We are so lucky to be building as entrepreneurs in today's day and age with the amount of incredible AI technology that exists today. Are you using ChatGPT? Are you using OpenAI? What are the tools that are made and designed for you as an entrepreneur that you can use to cut down on your manual time and improve your output and improve essentially your results as you continue to build the business. And then lastly, of course, where are you outsourcing on the resources that you don't have or the skill sets that you don't have? No one can be great at everything. Just isn't. You can't be great at everything. If you're great at everything, you're good at nothing. If you're good at everything, you're great at nothing. So I ask founders all the time, what are your strengths? Where can you double down on your superpowers and then outsource those skill sets that bog you down, that are a waste of your time, that are slow for you, that feel like a burden? And it's okay to outsource. It's great. In fact, some of the best CEO operators are phenomenal at their jobs because they're able to delegate so well, because they can put themselves in a place of strength because they will do the jobs that they're the best at and hire for the jobs that they're not as good at, which is the best operating teams that operate at scale. And so once you've done all of these things, now we can say, okay, what does product market fit look like? How do I know if I've found product market fit? And what are these key identifiers that I can establish or that I can look at to say, yes, I have found product market fit? There are tons of ways to look at product market fit. I would say here are some top 6 ways to know right off the bat, yes, I believe we're onto something here. We found product market fit. The first is retention and renewal. Are your customers coming back time and time again? Whether it's a service business or a product business, are they renewing? Are they buying your products again? Are they continuing to come back? Retention and happy customers is a very good sign of product market fit. Are you seeing consistent growth? As you can see, obviously, this is the dream here, this hockey stick growth. It doesn't always look like this if you zoom in, but if you zoom out, are you seeing consistent growth month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year? Do you have happy customers that are sharing your product, your services with friends? Do you have word of mouth referrals? And do you have a mechanism that celebrates or incentivizes your customers to share and refer your product or services? Are you getting organic growth and organic customer feedback? And do you have the mechanisms to track that? Do you have a customer testimonial portal? Are you asking for NPS scores? How are you able to establish or identify yes to these answers of positive customer feedback or organic growth or word of mouth referrals? And then lastly, are you building or selling a product or service that is a positive unit economic product or service? Meaning, is your company continuing to grow profitably so that it can sustain a tremendous amount of success as the business grows? And again, if you do all of this intentional hard work at the upfront of those 6 building blocks that we just talked about, you will set yourself up for success to put the right product into the right market with the right customer, to sell it with the right unique selling points and value propositions to evoke emotion backed by logic that will start to grow a business profitably, and healthy businesses are set up for success from day one. So if any of this you have questions on, or if there are things that you need help with, this is exactly what my team and I at Bolden do. I would love to support you or help you talk through it. Finding product market fit comes with the right building blocks from day one in order to establish a healthy and successful company with the right product and the right solution with the right customers. So we're going to open it up for Q&A. Feel free to email me after this discussion, emily@boltonadvisors.com. I would love to chat with any of you. I could talk business building, product market fit for hours, but I think I did that exactly at 30 minutes, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on the dot. And then, yes, please feel free to email me. Let's jump on a call and we can figure out how to help you find product market fit in your industry and for your market.
Emily, thank you so much. That was awesome. I love just the way that you broke down that entire process. It's not seen very often, and I think it can be somewhat of a mystery, especially for founders, doing this for the first time. So thank you so much for a wonderful overview. And if you are in the audience and you have a question, make sure to drop it in that Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. But just to kick us off, we talked, you talked a lot about, what entrepreneurs can do to set themselves up for success in this process. And I guess my first question, and something that we hear so much from entrepreneurs, is just like, really identifying, like what are some of the most common pitfalls that founders might face when going through these processes? And, specifically, like how can entrepreneurs avoid, prematurely assuming product market fit based on early traction? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Um, Great question. I would say some early pitfalls are not having the right. Actually, let me start. I'm going to answer chronologically. Early pitfalls in identifying the problem is, are you solving the right problem to start? How are you articulating your problem statement? Is that the right problem? Is it a problem? Many businesses that don't survive over time, it's not because the product isn't good, and it's not because there aren't some customers who want it, but sometimes it's because it's a nice to have product. And so how can you evolve your nice to have product to be a need to have for a slightly different customer? So I always encourage early on, as you start to identify, how do I find product market fit? It usually requires a little more work on refining and defining the problem statement, and refining and defining the solution, and then refining and defining who that customer is that you're selling it to. A lot of people make the common mistake of making assumptions. Do you know what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. Pardon my French. But
Exactly.
that is I would say that's the most common, easiest pitfall of an entrepreneur, which is making a lot of assumptions. And don't get me wrong, in order to get a business off the ground, you have to make several hypothetical assumptions, but you have to define and validate those assumptions as soon as humanly possible before you really start to scale the business, because that will help you figure out how to find product market fit. And let me tell you the other thing just quickly on that. 9 out of 10 times, your assumptions are wrong. Big
Yeah.
picture, you're onto something, but oftentimes you have to ebb and flow or pivot the product, or pivot your marketing messaging, or pivot your customer in order to find real product market fit. So the best founders are the founders who can move quickly, who can take feedback and are agile in order to find product market fit, because they can listen to their customers, they can hear problems, and then they can come up with the right solution and market it appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of really interesting points in there, and I think that's really interesting what you brought up, of is it a nice to have or a need to have, and really shifting the way that you communicate the work that you're doing, to reframe the way that your target audience perceives that. So really interesting, and definitely a lot for entrepreneurs to think about there in terms of adjusting that communication strategy. Wonderful. And for startups that sometimes there are market downturns, or they're just facing slow or stagnant growth. How can they maybe assess whether the issue lies in product market fit, or maybe other factors like market conditions, or even their pricing strategy?
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, sometimes it's the wrong sales strategy. Sometimes you just don't have the right team member in place. There's 101 reasons that cause companies to transition and have experiences on growth. I would say the first thing to do is talk to your customers. Do you have thriving, happy customers? And if you do, even if you have just one customer who is obsessed with your company, your service, your product, double down on what's working for them. Have a conversation with that customer, ask them to hop on the phone with you, take them out to coffee if you're in the same city, and figure out what is the problem that you're solving for them that they are obsessed with, that they're like, we can't exist without you. And then get rid of the rest of the noise and double down on that one thing, and see if you can sell 2, 3, 4, 5 other versions of that thing. Again, the best thing to do is to figure out, what is your obsession product? What's your hero product? The thing that if you can have one customer who loves it, is that experience replicable? And if it is, replicate that and get rid of the rest of the noise. And that will really help a business stay focused and stay prioritized.
Love that. Love that. Always goes back to that user feedback. And I definitely want to dive a little bit deeper there because you talked about, different, how entrepreneurs can begin to the process of gathering feedback if they haven't already and kind of, managing what the complexities that may come with that. And particularly for businesses, that are, growing and the market may shift or customer preferences may shift. How can they balance that initial vision, with real world feedback that they're receiving without losing sight of their mission or overcomplicating the offering?
Yeah, it's a great question. First and foremost, have a strong mission statement that isn't product driven, but vision based or value based. So if your mission statement is based on values, in theory, it should be sticky enough to solve or be applied to multiple different product solutions.
Yeah.
That's first of all. So if you have a strong mission, strong brands, mission, values, now when you're talking to your customers, I encourage, it depends on the type of product, company, business, service, but I encourage frequent customer feedback sessions. And your customer's job is not to tell you what to build. Your customer's job is not to tell you, I need this feature or build me this product or service. Your customer's job is to answer the questions you ask, and your job is to ask what's working and what's not working. And if you can ask the right open-ended question, the hows and the whys, the whats, not questions that are yes or no answers like is or do's, but if you can ask open-ended questions, your job, your team's job is to be able to extract what your customer is saying. What's the problem they're facing? What's working, what's not working, and then can you evolve your product suite based on those problems? So companies that get misled on a product roadmap, let's say, often because they'll have one customer who says, oh my God, it would be amazing if you did this one product feature for me. And now they have their engineers and their whole team building that one product feature. When that's not actually what the customer meant. The customer actually meant, what would make my life easier if you could solve for this problem? And then it's up to you as the CEO and the founder and your team to create the right solution for that problem. So if you can talk to your customers and hear their problem statements, goes back to the same thing we just mapped out. Hear the problem, clearly define the problem, and then create the clearly defined solution, and then market it appropriately to the right person. That's where you'll see product market fit at scale or even on a feature or an upsell solution.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, really continuing to focus in on the problem and responding with a scalable solution. Absolutely, and relevant across industries. Wonderful. And I think just to dive a little bit deeper, especially with we likely have a good few SaaS companies in the audience, and I know user testing is something that a lot of entrepreneurs, what is the role kind of there with user testing, especially when it comes to your value proposition, is that something, worth investing in potentially to expand that kind of feedback that you're gaining from your customers in certain situations?
Yes, 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 yes. The more you can talk to your customers, the better. The stronger your customer support team or customer support processes are, the better. Your customers will tell you what's working and what's not working. And the more you can user test your SaaS product, as an example, the more feedback you'll get and the stronger solution you'll be able to build. The companies that aren't talking to their customers are the companies that won't succeed. The teams that are self-conscious or nervous or scared to get customer feedback are the teams that are missing out on the most valuable information. So every time you have a customer sign up, I always encourage, have an account manager. Even if you're a team of one and you're the CEO, reach out and say, thank you so much for signing up. I'm here to make sure you have an amazing experience with us. If you have any feedback or any questions, email me at any time. I'm here for you. The best customer support teams, the companies that have the most fluid conversation with their customers will win, because feedback is what will help fuel your growth and essentially help you find product market fit.
Love it. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, really, something to think about there for businesses that may be relevant to, really thinking of more ways to continue to expand the kind of feedback that you're receiving. So wonderful. Love it.
By the way, just a note on feedback, there are so many tools that exist that are easy to implement, that are automated, that will collect feedback for you. So if feedback feels daunting for you, this is not something that you have to spend a tremendous amount of time manually doing. You can
Mhm.
use ChatGPT to come up with a list of feedback questions for you. You can go to Delightful as an example of a customer NPS feedback form. So if you do a little bit of research, you'll find there are tons of tools that solve this exact problem, which is how do we extract customer feedback for you in an effective and productive way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a question we get a lot, especially with so much emerging technology today is, what tools can help me make these processes
Yeah.
easier? So, and there's such a plethora now available to you, many with low barrier to entry. So definitely important to do your own research there and figure out what the right solution is for you. But wonderful, love it. We have another question here that I think is interesting and kind of ties into another theme that I'd wanted to touch on. This person is saying when planning to sell a tool to B2B that enhances the value of their products, I'm validating product market fit with end users to illustrate viability. How do you translate product market fit with end users to the value add we are providing to the business? So I think this is kind of a question of like really, something we get a lot from entrepreneurs is like my product requires some level of educating the customer. Um, what is the best way to go about that in your opinion?
Yeah. The first question I would ask is, are you talking to the right KDM, so key decision maker? If you are selling to a business, if you are selling a human resources solution, as an example, are you selling to the marketing team? Are you talking to the marketing team? Or are you talking to the HR team? So many people get a foot in the door, but are oftentimes selling to the wrong decision maker who will ultimately be the person who will be the buyer of your services. So the first question I would have is it the right customer within that organization? So maybe it's the right organization, but now do you have the right person who you're selling to or talking to? Understanding who your right KDM, key decision maker is important. And you can often get your foot in the door at an organization and say, would you mind introducing me to the CMO or the CHRO or whoever it is that would be the buyer of your services? And if you don't know, that's also okay. You can ask those questions in a discovery call or in qualifying call. The second thing is your job is to be able to easily define your problem statement and easily define your solution. If your product is overly complicated, I would actually argue that that's a challenge in itself. So how can you do some work up front to simplify the solution? And oftentimes the way to do that is not to sell how the tech works. It's not to sell how the product works. It's to sell what's the problem you're solving and what's the solution you're offering. So an example I use often when describing this is if you wanted to sell a vacation, and I want to go to Hawaii on a 2-week beach trip, and I want to have a mocktail or a cocktail by the pool. I'm not going to sell someone by saying, I'm going to put you on a 100 seated airplane that will fly at 30,000 feet and has this type of technical plane build. Sorry, I'm using a bad example. Obviously, I don't fly planes, but I'm not going to sell the product. I'm going to say, oh my God, you're so stressed. You really need a vacation. Let me describe Hawaii to you as a solution. This is going to be amazing. And by the way, if you just buy this ticket for X amount of dollars, it will get you there. So all to say, it's a bit of a long-winded answer, but when selling your B2B SaaS tool, if it's overly complicated because you're focusing on the way in which the plane operates, you're not selling effectively. In truth, if you're talking to the right person, you're saying, isn't it so annoying that X, Y, and Z happens for you within your organization? And your key decision maker will say, yes, that's a problem we face. Well, wouldn't it be amazing if we could solve that for you? Yes, it would. Well, our technology does that. The buyer doesn't really need to know how your tech stack works in a technical way. Maybe
Yeah.
someone on their team will down the road when you're doing implementation. But if you can simply define your problem statement and simply define the solution using emotion backed by a logical solution, you will convert that person into a buying customer. So I would encourage you, happy to have a chat with you, whoever your question is, happy to talk through this in more detail as it relates to your company. But I would encourage a audit on the sales process and the sales narrative to say, are you selling your product or you're selling the problem and the solution?
Yeah, that's so interesting. And, I think that's a really great example, honestly, that you used with the plane and the travel, because that's something that we definitely see a lot, when we're working with our milestone makers, entrepreneurs, and they're kind of trying to get to their why and why they're doing the work they're doing. And, sometimes you get really into like, oh, I have a platform, I have a system that does this, and you really got to drill down into that problem solution. So that's a wonderful example. So hopefully that's helpful. And just to dive a little bit deeper, because you mentioned, for B2B, accessing and really connecting with these key decision makers is so crucial. Any other differences, between B2B, B2C, that might be important for founders to be aware of in this
Yeah.
process?
Great question. One thing we haven't spoken about as it relates oftentimes to B2C services, but for sure to B2B products and services is cost savings. So by buying your service or your product, what is the return on investment to that company? Are you saving them $10,000 a year by using your product? Are you saving them $200,000 a year because now they don't have to hire for a senior engineer and they can just onboard your product for $100 a month, as an example. So if you can actually start to show a business the cost savings and the impact to their bottom line that bringing your tool, your service into their organization, that will help to convert your buyer that much more. If you position your product as an expense for a business, that's a hard conversion mechanism. It's not impossible, but it's just hard if you say you now need to spend even more money on us. But if you can take that same expense, so let's just say the $100 a month, $1,200 a year, and instead of saying, hey, it costs $1,200 a year to work with us, you can say, well, look, instead of hiring the senior engineer for $200,000 or $250,000, you can implement our technology for just $1,200 a year. We've just saved you $198,000.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. And again, what you're actually doing in that is you're evoking the emotion of cost savings. No one likes spending money, really. And so if you can show that buyer that you're actually helping them save money instead of spend money, and then your solution is a logical way to do that, you will help that person say yes to you that much faster.
Yeah, that's really interesting because, yeah, it kind of gets at like the way, organizations make decisions in a very different way than like an individual consumer would for, like CPG. So it's very, crucial to understand those differences. And I think that idea of, evoking the emotions behind like cost savings, is not talked about always. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Wonderful.
The other, I just one
Yeah, go
last
ahead.
thing, Michelle, to add on that, especially for B2B businesses, it's really important not only to show cost savings or cost efficiencies, but outcomes. And
Mm.
not only outcomes of your product, but what are those outcomes of your product that impact the outcome of those companies? Are you helping employees perform better? Yes. But if you help employees perform better, those companies will perform better and will ultimately drive up revenue or profit for their organization. So if you can start to think through the overall impact and outcome, the ROI of investing in your solution, not just in the short term, but in the extended long term, by investing in our $100 a month solution, we're saving you $198,000 and you will have happier employees. And studies show that happier employees perform better, and performing better companies drive higher sales revenue. And at the end of the year, you would be able to tell your board that your sales are up by 25%.
Yeah.
Obviously, those are lofty goals, but if you can actually think through the ROI of your product as it relates to the buyer, if I truly buy your service for my team, what are the short term, but most importantly, what are the long term effects that will then make me a happy, sticky customer?
Yeah, wonderful. Love it. All right, I think we have time for maybe one more
Sure.
question. And I wanted to quickly ask about teams. I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the audience that are solopreneurs, and we may have some that have small teams or maybe even mid to large size teams. So I'm wondering, how this process might look different for a solopreneur versus a founder with a team. And the role of really aligning your team's understanding of product market fit to achieve that goal, and how entrepreneurs can really just create a culture of continuous learning and iteration within those teams to consistently work towards maintaining product market fit.
Transparency and honesty. The more a founder can be transparent and honest with themselves and or transparent and honest with their team, the more the team or yourself will work towards finding the right answers. So I know we're running low on time. I saw the comment. Thank you for that. But my very fast answer is transparency and honesty with yourself, or transparency and honesty with your team will help you take a real reality check at what's working and what's not working.
Awesome. Emily, this has been so wonderful. If you had just one key takeaway or piece of wisdom to leave with the audience, what would that be?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Find the very best person that can help you answer that question. I think some of the best CEOs, what they're able to do is they're able to raise their hand and say, I'm not good at this, but I will find the very best person I can to solve that problem. And so if you can alleviate the pressure of having to do absolutely everything and be the best at everything, and just start leveraging your network and connections to find the resources that can help you fill those gaps, you'll be on your way towards success.
Awesome, Emily. This has been so wonderful. Thank you for such an incredible overview, truly. And on behalf of the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center and everyone here today, we are just so thankful for you joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Feel free to email me if you have any further questions. Hope to chat with you soon.
Yes, and we'll put those links in the chat. Definitely make sure to connect with Emily. And to our audience, thank you all so much for joining us today. We'd love for you to join us again for upcoming webinars, which you can view using those additional links that are going to be posted in the chat. And we look forward to welcoming you back online with us soon. Thanks, everyone.